Small Hunting Podcast, powered by aimsmallarchery.com, the American choice for deer stands, deer blinds, and other hunting accessories. I'm Derek Hayden. I'm your host. So let's dive into it. It's episode number 1. If y'all heard the intro to the podcast last week, I kind of just talking about what to expect. So I'm a deer hunter. I was looking for a way to fund my deer hunting passion, so I started aimsmallarchery.com. So I'm just starting this podcast to talk about deer hunting because that's what I like to talk about. That's what I like to do. So I want to hear y'all's feedback. Tell me what you like, don't like, what you'd like to talk about, what you don't want to talk about. Today, episode 1, we're going to talk about my top 5 pieces of gear or equipment to bring to the deer woods with me. And I know everybody has those 1 to 5 things that you've got to have when you're in the deer stand. So I'm going to talk about what I like to bring, things that I don't like to be in the woods without. So a few of them are going to be pretty common, pretty lame, but a few of them might be different compared to maybe what you guys like to do. So first, number 1, I'll show you this. If you're watching on YouTube, this is my knife. It looks a little dirty. I need to clean it. But the Outdoor Edge swing blade. So when I first got this knife several years ago, it changed field dressing forever. So I was one of those guys. I would try to, run my fingers up so I didn't nick the gut sack or the stomach and get the poof. Everybody knows the poof, that smell of the stomach, letting the fumes up into your nostrils. That's not a pleasant time to be in the woods. Maybe you've never experienced that. If you've not, you're pretty lucky. But I've had it happen several times. You nick that stomach and you get the puff of the nasty smell in your face, and it makes it really tough to field dress your deer after that. So my number 1 piece of gear, my number 5 piece of gear is the Outdoor Edge swing blade knife. They also make the Swing Blaze, which is this that's got the blaze orange handle. This one's got the black, but they make the blaze orange handle. So it's easier to find. You put it down on the timber floor as you're field dressing, especially if it's dark out. Makes it a little easier to find. So I've had both work fine. I've not lost either. But Outdoor Edge swing blade knife. Number 2. So the number 2 item that I'd carry is some type of a strong flashlight. I know, cliche, hunter, got to have the flashlight, but it makes it a lot easier as you're walking through the woods. I've been lost in the morning looking for my stand, but I have a new stand location. I've also needed a stronger light when I'm trailing a deer, and if you don't have help, especially, bring a strong flashlight. I have 2 flashlights. So this is the one I'm showing you here. It's a gear light. I got it for Christmas a few years ago. I think it was just ordered off Amazon. It's incredibly bright, but I also have a headlamp. I like to have a headlamp with me. So if you do get a deer in the evening, if it's dark, I like to have that headlamp so I can field dress, see what I'm doing. Don't have to hold a flashlight while I'm cutting around and doing all the fun stuff that comes with field dressing. So I like the headlamp and regular flashlight. But that was my number 4 piece of equipment I got to have in the woods. Number 3, last cliche, I promise. I carry a huge bottle of water with me no matter where I go. I get super thirsty. One of the things that I don't like to leave without is a bottle of water. This is a 32 ounce. I've got 3 or 4 of these big old bottles I put in my backpack. I don't put all 3 or 4 at a time, but I've got 3 or 4 bottles ready to go. I put 1 in my backpack. So it's a 32 ounce bottle of water I keep with me, especially if you're walking a lot, or let's say you do get a deer and you have to drag that thing out of there. The water is going to save you, man. There's not much, if you're thirsty, it makes for a long day if you don't have something to drink. So that was number 3, my water. Number 4, you can hear it crinkling, which isn't good, but I've got an Uncrustable right here. If you're on YouTube, you can see it. By the way, if you're listening to the podcast, check out YouTube, Aim Small Archery on YouTube. You can watch this whole thing on video. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the podcast, to the Aim Small Hunting Podcast on Spotify. So Uncrustable, this is my most favorite snack, is the Uncrustable. There's not much that will make me leave the deer stand earlier than if I'm freaking hungry and cold, especially if I've not seen any deer. I'm bouncing, man. I'm going to McDonald's. I'm getting something to eat. I'm tired of being there. I'm going home. If I got a few Uncrustables, I'm good to go for a while. So an Uncrustable, that's my number 1. So what I do, if I'm in a blind, I'll keep it like this. If I'm in a stand, like out in the open, and I want to be quiet, I'll actually take these out before I leave. Before I put them in my backpack, I'll put them in a Ziploc. So it's a little quieter instead of like, crinkling it up when you're in the deer stand trying to be quiet. If you put it in a Ziploc, it's a lot quieter, and I'll put 2 or 3 in there. If I'm going to hunt all day, I'll throw several of those Uncrustables in for the day. Then I got my water to swig it down with. So Uncrustables, what's y'all's favorite snack? Because Uncrustables is my number one. I also like cheese sticks, and I also do like deer sausage or something like that sometimes, beef jerky, but Uncrustables is by far my number one. And let's see. Oh, my last piece and most important piece of equipment to bring to the woods with me is toilet paper. All right. So you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever been in the woods without toilet paper and Mother Nature comes calling, you're going to ruin a good pair of socks, a good stocking cap, pair of gloves. Something's going to get ruined. If you don't have toilet paper, you're going to have to ruin a good pair of socks in most cases. I've had it happen to me too many times to not leave a roll of toilet paper in my backpack. Everywhere I go to hunt, toilet paper's coming with me. So, like I said, there's not much that can make you more uncomfortable and make you go home other than being hungry is not having TP when you need TP. So another reason I take toilet paper when you're blood trailing, when you're tracking a wounded deer, it's hard. It's always a good idea to try to keep the trail. If you can watch the line of where that deer is going, if you can mark the trail, you can watch the line where that deer is going, get a better idea of where he will be down the trail. So toilet paper is biodegradable. So you can actually take a little piece off. You can, tie it. I'm gonna use my microphone here. You can tie it on your limb, and then you've got a little flag of where that deer was last. So I like to be able to do that. Helps me, with tracking. Helps me with number 2 in the woods. So that's really it, guys. Those are my top 5 items. So I've got my flashlights, my outdoor edge swing blade, water, Uncrustables, and toilet paper. If I had to take 5 things in the woods with me, obviously other than my bow or like the important stuff, this is like the accessories, I guess I should say, not necessarily your weapon. So my top 5 equipment accessories are my water, Uncrustables, flashlight, swing blade, and number 1, my toilet paper. So what's y'all's favorite things to bring in the woods? What things can you not bring or not go in the woods without? So let me know. Tell me in the comments if you're watching YouTube. Tell me in the comments if you're watching on Spotify. You can email me at info@aimsmallarchery.com. If you are looking for stands, deer blinds, archery targets, check out aimsmallarchery.com. We got a rut sale going right now on most stands. It's 11% off for the month of November. So check it out. And that's it for this episode of the Aim Small Hunting Podcast. We'll catch you next time.